Bam. My peoples. My peoples. Terence Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez sat down for an interview with Pierce Morgan. And, obviously, Pierce, a great journalist, has some questions, some very good questions for both of them. And it was a very interesting interview. It was very interesting to see how, Crawford and Canelo just sat there next to each other, and both of them feel so confident that they're going to win their fight. They're both saying, I'm going to win this fight. I feel sure. Canelo says he's 100% sure he's going to win that fight. Crawford says he's not walking out of there without a W. So, very interesting to see how confident both fighters are at this point. Chris Fontaine, you up early, bro. What's the deal, my G? Yeah, I'm up early every day, my guy. Sometimes I run before I go live. Sometimes I do it after, but I'm early. I'm live. And after this, we're going to do this road work. Got to get it done. But my brother, I don't know if you've seen Canelo Alvarez, but Crawford, they sat down with Pierce Morgan. Great interview. If you haven't seen it, check it out. They both confident. They both feel sure that they're going to win this fight. We're all making these predictions. David, what's up, brother? What's the deal, my G? We talking Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, my guy. How they did a sit-down interview yesterday, and both of them feel, real confident that they're going to win this fight. Obviously, only one person is going to win. But when you have two fighters that are of that level, talking about Bud and Canelo, when you're operating at that level, both of them are great, and you can expect, a great fight. You can expect that. Chris Fontaine was crazy. They both look hungry. Yeah. Facts. They both look like they want it badly. And in reality, I would say there's a certain level of pressure on both of them. Why? Because Terence Crawford is seen as the underdog, as the guy that people are saying, that he's going to lose, there's even people saying he's going to get knocked out because of him moving up in weight and all that good stuff. So Terence Crawford has that pressure of, I got to prove him wrong. I got to show him that I could win this fight. And then Canelo Alvarez, come on now. He's seen as, you're fighting the guy that's moving up. You're fighting the smaller guy. You're supposed to beat him up. You're supposed to. So Canelo has that pressure on him that he has to perform. He has to win this fight. He can't lose to the smaller guy moving up in weight. So both guys, in a way, have a chip on their shoulder. Then you have Canelo, who's, taken 2 losses in his career. And obviously he wants to retire without losing again. You have Terence Crawford, who's never taken an L. And he's not trying to take one. So there's little factors in play here that tell you both fighters are going to give it their 100%. Nobody's going to be holding back. Nobody. They out there, to cause bodily harm upon each other. I'm telling you that right now, my peoples. And that's why I'm super excited about Canelo versus Crawford, because I know how fun it's going to be to watch that fight. It's not just about you're rooting for this guy, I'm rooting for this guy, or people want their predictions to be right. It's about my prediction. I hope. No, I'm looking forward to that fight because I know it's going to be a very competitive, very good fight. I know we're going to see fireworks. We're going to see both of them land some good shots, some combinations. Canelo's body punching, Crawford's counter punching. We're going to see a lot of stuff in this fight. David, I got Crawford on a split. Okay, that's a good pick. I got Crawford winning by unanimous decision. Chris Fontaine still got Crawford. And I'm going to tell you something, guys, that I think is interesting. Now that I see David saying he got Crawford by split decision. I ran this fight through ChatGPT for a prediction. And ChatGPT says that Crawford is going to win by split decision. So, David, ChatGPT actually agrees with you. But me, being Jay Stradamus, a.k.a. the human algorithm, I'm going to beat ChatGPT. I'm predicting Crawford is winning. We're on the same page on that part. But I'm saying it's going to be by unanimous decision. Chris Fontaine. And they put that no running rule in. It's going to be a phone booth fight. I mean, there's no such thing as a running rule or no running rule. Or, it's going to be a good fight simply because of the fighters that we got stepping in there versus each other. It's funny that I've seen a lot of people say that Crawford is going to be running. Crawford is going to be running. Like, people really believe that Crawford is going to be there to survive. People believe that. He's going to be there to survive. Anybody who thinks that is going to be disappointed. El fantasma de Geraldo Ledén. Buen día. What's the deal, my brother? Look at Terence Crawford's entire career. When has he ever been known to be a runner? When have you seen a fight where you could say, oh, he was running? When? Just show me one fight. I just want to see one where you could show me that Terence Crawford is running. Just one. So, the notion that he's going to step in there versus Canelo to survive or to try to make it through, that's nasty work. That's crazy. Like, that's another level of hater for you to say that. I mean, for somebody to think or suggest that Crawford is going to be running all night long when he's never done that his entire career. Beating people up. What are we talking about? So, this is going to be a fight. Not only that, it seems like people forget the type of power that Terence Crawford carries. Did we forget how hard this guy hits? It's like, for whatever reason, people think that Crawford is just going to be running, and Canelo's just going to be walking him down and beating him up. That's what you think is going to happen? Canelo's just going to be walking him down with nothing to worry about? So I'm trying to tell you, my peoples, Canelo Alvarez is going to have to worry about those counter punches that come from the left and from the right. He's going to have to worry about a fighter that's going to, one moment be fighting him from the orthodox stance, and the next he's a southpaw. He's have to, look at different angles. Now, I know that Canelo Alvarez supposedly brought Boots to his training camp. I don't know if Boots is going to be there for the entire training camp or what, but I see that as a good idea. You have, somebody sparring with you that is going to give you both looks. That's going to also be able to put hands on you because Boots is nice like that. So Boots is a great option to assimilate a Terence Crawford. But at the end of the day, I got Terence Crawford beating Canelo Alvarez by unanimous decision, my peoples. That's the way I see it. Chris Fontaine, nah. Nah, that's facts. Even when he got hurt by Gamboa, he was still in the fight. I mean, the funny thing about the Gamboa fight is that think about how many years ago that was. And if I'm not mistaken, that was at 130. If I'm not mistaken. And Crawford has had, 41 wins? And in 41 wins, all people bring up is Gamboa and Mean Machine. Like, how great is Terence Crawford to for people to have to bring up fights from 7 years ago, 8 years ago, to have to say that he got touched in 41 fights. Oh yeah, he got touched by this guy that 10 years ago and shit. Some crazy shit like that, because it was a lot of years ago when him and Gamboa fought. I'm not gonna say it's 10 years, but it was like close. Close. Or probably has been 10 years since he fought Gamboa. Shit. John Garrett, it's 420. Happy 420, my brother. 555 Punisher. What's up, bro? John Garrett, what's the deal, my brother? Chris Fontaine, Crawford way too polished. My brother, I got Terence Bud Crawford winning that fight. I'm trying to tell you. I got Bud winning that fight by unanimous decision. And I'm not trying to knock Canelo, my peoples. I really believe that Canelo Alvarez is one of the best fighters of this era. And he's going to go down as an all-time great. Losing to Terence Crawford. And I promise you, when he loses to Terence Crawford, I can already see the people saying, oh, look, his legacy's done. And that's it. He's not great because Crawford took away his... No. Great fighters lose. If you put two great fighters to fight each other, obviously one of them is going to lose. Canelo losing to Crawford is not going to take away from his greatness. He's still going to be a great fighter. But I can already see people saying, oh, look, he lost to the smaller guy moving up in weight, so he's not all that. Nah. It's not like that. I still got mad respect for Canelo Alvarez. I still understand all of his accomplishments. The most accomplished fighter of this era right now. Being a number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world. So you got to respect Canelo Alvarez. I simply look at that Fantasma de Geraldo le den over 10 years. You see what I'm saying? Like, people still bring up Gamboa, somebody who Crawford fought over 10 years ago. There you have it, 2014. Damn, I remember that fight, man. For that fight, I actually invited a friend to my house. I was like, yo, you got to see this fighter, B. You got to... I was putting... Look. In 2014, a lot of people already started to get to know Terence Crawford. But before that, he wasn't known like that. People wasn't following him like that. He was fighting in smaller venues. A lot of empty seats. And I was already on to him. Like, yo, this guy's going to be special. Even back then, when Crawford had the little short braids that he was on ESPN, I was like, this guy's going to be special. John Garrett, remember Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson? Oh my God, my brother, do I remember. Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson was an insane fight. The way that it all played out, there was a lot of factors in play. Number one, the fight was in Tokyo. Why two American fighters went to Tokyo to fight? I don't know. But number one, the fight was in Tokyo. Number two, Mike Tyson, at that point, his personal life was getting out of hand. Mike Tyson in his personal life, he was doing drugs, he was drinking, he was partying a lot. And he even said, he was partying in Tokyo. The week before the Buster Douglas fight during training camp, he was partying in Tokyo, getting twisted. And you saw what happened. Buster Douglas pulled off the biggest upset in the history of the sport of boxing. There is no bigger win or bigger upset, in the history of boxing than Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson. George Ivan, I'm in Afghanistan. Come here, brother. What's the deal, my brother? Maybe one day I have the opportunity to visit Afghanistan. I would love to. So Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas, it was like the perfect storm for Mike to lose. But I'm going to tell you something a lot of people never say, my brother. I want you to go back and check out video of Buster Douglas. Check out highlight videos of Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas. Highlight videos of Buster Douglas and other fights. What you're going to see is that Buster Douglas was really, really good, bro. Buster Douglas can fight. The problem he had is that he didn't have the discipline to stay in great shape. He just didn't have it. So to fight Mike Tyson, his mom had just passed away, and he actually dedicated himself to training camp and showed up for that fight in great shape. And Mike Tyson, on the other hand, showed up to that fight in horrible shape. So you have the guy that can really fight showing up in the best shape of his life versus Mike Tyson, who we know what he can do, but he showed up fucked up. And that's how the fight played out. But people don't really understand how good Buster Douglas actually was. They don't really understand that. They just think it was, Mike Tyson was fucked up in the game. He was getting twisted. He wasn't taking it seriously. He didn't train right. All of those things are true. But Buster Douglas was a really good fighter who simply didn't live up to the expectations or live up to his own potential because of problems with his discipline. 556 Punisher. Before the Arrow fight, Crawford wasn't known like that. I mean, I would say amongst the boxing community, Crawford was already a big star. He was already, that's it. Every boxing fan knew Terence Crawford. I think, beating Errol Spence helped him get into the mainstream. Why? Because now you started to see Crawford. He came out in a movie. He, was, and it's been going to a bunch of TV shows, getting interviews, on prime time. And, Crawford's star power just exploded. But part of that is because how he beat Errol Spence absolutely destroyed him. When so many people were saying that Errol Spence was too big, he's too strong, he's going to walk him down, he's going to break Crawford to the body. And then Crawford just pummeled Errol Spence the way that he did and stop him. Listen, that's one of the most impressive stoppages we have seen in the last 20, 30 years. In the last 20, 30 years, if you talk about stoppages, that is one of the most impressive ones that we've seen. You got to think about it. Think about all the factors in play here. 4 undisputed. Errol Spence is a 3-belt unified champion who won those 3 belts versus 3 champions. Errol Spence, that's the thing people kind of, it flies by their head. That Errol Spence, he didn't get a vacant title. He didn't get an email title. He fought 3 champions for those 3 straps. And Terence Crawford showed up and put the beating of a lifetime on Errol. So we have to understand what Crawford did that night, which we witnessed. That was something special. We witnessed something special. El fantasma de Geraldo Ledén. The Don knows how to do it. Bro. Special. Special. Punisher. Yeah, that's what I mean. Mainstream. Wise, he wasn't known or a star. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. Mainstream wise, he wasn't really known like that. The Errol Spence fight propelled him. But you see, Crawford. Like, think about this, my brother. In the last 20 years, or even in the last 10 years, if you've been watching boxing for 10 years, or if you've been watching boxing for 5 years, what knockout you can say was bigger than Terence Crawford knocking out Errol Spence? What would be a knockout that you would compare to that one in the last 20, 30 years? As far as historical importance. Because, there's been a lot of explosive knockouts. Don't get it twisted. There's been some explosive ones. Boom, somebody just go to sleep. But I'm talking about as far as historical relevance. What knockout is bigger than that one? Than Terence Crawford stopping Errol Spence for all the marbles. Come on now. Terence Crawford, after that, became a huge star. Everybody wanted to see him. Everybody wanted to talk to him. Everybody wanted him to come to their show. Shit, he came out in a movie. Come on now. They finally gave him his flowers, like he deserved all along. Punisher, a lot of explosive and awesome knockouts indeed. That's what I'm saying. If you look at Tank Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz, that's one of the most explosive knockouts we've seen in recent history. That counter uppercut, boom, that Leo didn't see it coming. Devastating blow. Devastating blow. Hitting my peoples. When Tank Davis called Leo Santa Cruz, was like, boom! Devastating blow! Devastating blow, ladies and gentlemen. Leo Santa Cruz didn't even feel that punch. He just kind of like, whoop, went to sleep. So that was an explosive knockout. But like I said, Terence Bud Crawford's knockout of Errol Spence, or stoppage, because it wasn't a knock. He didn't sleep him. The ref had to save him though. If the ref didn't step in, Errol Spence would have went to sleep badly, brutally. So the ref did the right thing. Obviously, nobody complained about that stoppage. That fight was at a point where we was already feeling bad for Errol. We was feeling bad. A lot of people were like, damn, Errol, they beating the shit out Errol. You actually felt bad. And you see the results. Errol hasn't been in the ring since. And it's been about 2 years. So you know the type of damage that Bud Crawford caused. And people forget that. Now, he's going to fight Canelo Alvarez. And people's like, yeah, he's too little. Canelo's too big. Canelo going to stop him. Y'all forgetting what Terence Crawford bring to the table. The skills. The power. The, fighting orthodox and southpaw. There's a lot of tools in the bag of Terence Bud Crawford, my peoples. Punisher, I agree. Bus stoppage on Errol was good story-wise. I mean, look, think about this, my brother. Errol Spence was an undefeated 3-belt unified champion. And he was absolutely dominated, absolutely pummeled, battered, all that. Terence Crawford put so many hands on him, dropped him multiple times. Think about when was the last time that you saw an undefeated champion take a pummeling like that. Think about it. Now, I'll tell you one. I'll tell you two. Well, one took a pummeling, and it was, rest in peace, one of my favorite fighters, Diego Chico Corrales. He took a pummeling to Floyd. You see, that was a pummeling. Floyd stopped him, dropped him multiple times, and did Floyd stop him? I think he did. Dropped him multiple times and stopped him. Yes, he did stop him. So Floyd Mayweather put a beating on undefeated Diego Chico Corrales. Think about how many years ago that was. And that, as far as a historical reference, Floyd's beating of Chico Corrales is not as big as Crawford's beating of Errol Spence, because this was for all the marbles. This was for undisputed. That fight was not for undisputed. So there was more on the line with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence than there was with Floyd and Chico. But as far as what happened in the ring, Floyd Mayweather put a nasty beating on Chico Corrales. Look how many years ago that was, right? Floyd also put a nasty beating on Arturo Gatti. But at that time, I think Arturo Gatti had already taken a couple of losses. And so as far as undefeated, though, Floyd versus Chico Corrales. Nasty beating from Floyd. Dominated Chico in a way that nobody expected. I thought, I expected Floyd to win that fight, but I thought Chico was going to give him hell. And it didn't play out that way. Chico took a beating to Floyd. And that's the same. But I will say, this is what makes the Crawford beating of Errol Spence crazy. How many people were saying that Errol Spence was too big? That he was going to stop Crawford? That he was going to beat him up? That he was going to walk him down? How many people said that? And look, that's what makes that win so special. That people just felt like, nah, yo, Errol Spence got it. And look what happened. That makes it that much bigger. That you expected Crawford to lose, and he beat the hell out of his opponent in Errol Spence. Punisher. Yeah, the history behind the stoppage makes it so much better. Errol undefeated, Terminator, collecting belts like Thanos, taking belts they were not given to him. That's what I said. Errol Spence didn't get an email title, didn't fight a nobody for a vacant title, none of that. Got them joints versus a reigning champion. All three of them. The big fish. So, if you didn't understand that Terence Crawford is a special fighter, after he did that to Errol Spence, to the big fish, I don't know what to tell you. But it also shows you how people hate. Rather than give them credit like, damn, I thought you was going to lose and you won, people prefer to start the whole, Errol Spence car accident and his eye, and he just wasn't the same anymore. They started that narrative. When in reality, what took place was a filthy baiting from a Terence Buck Crawford, who was the better fighter in the ring that night. Simple as that. So now we're going to get Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Buck Crawford. And once again, people are underestimating Crawford. Once again. Did you not learn the last time you underestimated him what happened? Once again. Like when Terence Crawford put the Swiss, the Dre, and the Apple beats on on Errol Spence, you should have known he was special already. So we don't know that Terence Crawford is special. We think that Canelo's just gonna beat him up. Canelo's gonna walk him down, knock him out, even. Like he's an average Joe. Okay, if you wanna believe that, but they're gonna fight on September the 13th, and we're gonna find out. All I'm wondering, this is what I'm wondering, my peoples. This is what I'm wondering. Just like so many people came up with excuses and said that, they didn't want to give Crawford his credit for beating Errol Spence. Is the same thing going to happen when he beats Canelo? Are people going to make up new excuses? Are they going to start saying, well, Canelo wasn't the same and Canelo looked different and what had happened was? Is that going to happen? Or are they finally going to give credit? Are they finally going to say, yo, Crawford is the best of this era. He's the best of this generation. Generational talent. Special fighter. Are they going to start saying those things? Come on now. We got to give him his credit. Punisher. That's why I can't let people say, but for a damaged Errol when Errol was taking every other champion belt. What I say does is Errol did look high. It's clear, son. What's up? So I will say this. if you look at Errol Spence and what he was able to do after the car accident, it's crazy that people would even bring that up. This guy beat Danny Garcia, and then he beat reigning champion Sean Porter after the accident. No, he beat Danny Garcia, my bad. He beat Danny Garcia and Ugas after the accident, bro. How do you beat two elite level fighters after the accident, but the accident comes back when you're going to fight Crawford? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? The Mexican G. Hey, que ole carnal, what's the deal, my G? Danny was the man for a minute. Yo, Danny Garcia can fight. Danny Garcia can fight. I just think some of the PBC guys, when they started making a lot of money, those big paychecks, they wasn't as hungry anymore. I think that happened to a lot of them. But again, when you look at Crawford and Canelo, the same people that was telling me, yo, Crawford and Errol Spence, the same people that was telling me Errol was going to knock out Crawford, Errol was going to walk him down, Errol is too big. When Crawford stopped him, they switched up the tune. And now it was, well, you know, the car accident, and Errol wasn't the same anymore. And what are we talking about? And you know what's funny about that car accident? That I've been trying to tell people this shit. That's the type of car accident that looks a lot worse than what it actually was. When you see a car flip, you're like, oh, it's a big accident. Car flipped. But all you got to do is look at Errol Spence's injuries, my peoples. He got lucky. Errol Spence, after being ejected out of the car, did not break a single bone in his body. Think about that. He didn't break a single bone in his body, bro. The worst injury that he sustained was he lost teeth. He lost teeth. That's the worst injury that he sustained. So, years later, when he fought Terence Crawford, there was nothing from that goddamn accident that was affecting him for that fight. That accident should never come up when we're talking about Crawford beating Errol. It should never come up. But it's just the way that people want to hate. They don't want to give Crawford his credit. They don't want to. The Mexican G, nah, I knew Danny Garcia was done in his last fight. In the pre-fight press conference, he was talking about retiring already. Yeah. Danny was already planning on. But what I'm saying, after he lost to Keith Thurman, which obviously was his first loss, little by little, you kind of started seeing a Danny Garcia that wasn't the same as far as the level of hunger that he was displaying. Punisher, Showbiz said in the episode that someone in Errol Spence told him that Spence took pain medication before the Buff fight because he couldn't stand his back. I knew I wasn't tripping. In the episode that someone in Errol's... Look, honestly, man, I don't even believe that. And I'm going to tell you why, Punisher. Look at this. Showbiz said that someone in Spence camp said that Spence did something. Like, I don't even believe that shit. Honestly, I don't even believe it at all. Like, I have no belief for that shit. I have no belief that a fighter who's about to step in the ring is going to take pain medication, which is obviously going to affect your reaction time. I have zero belief in that. The Mexican G, shit was crazy. His car was totaled, but he didn't break a bone, just a whole lot of teeth. That's what I'm saying. Errol Spence did not break a single... Look, he didn't break a bone in his body. He didn't sustain brain injury. He didn't sustain a single major injury in the car accident. So when people say, nah, because of the car accident, he wasn't the same anymore. I asked him, okay, so what injury do you think he sustained in that car accident that made it to where he's not the same anymore? Tell me what you think happened. But people make stuff up out of thin air to feed their own narrative. You don't want to believe that Bud Crawford is special, so now you gotta say, nah, it was a car accident. There's no way he would have did that to Errol if Errol was good. Nah, yo. Styles make fights, and Crawford is a special fighter. That's why it played out that way. Punisher. Somebody in Errol Spence gym told Biz I'm mad. No, I understand that, my brother. But the somebody, we don't know who that somebody is. Anybody could make up anything. They could have just made that up, just like, damn, he got beat up. Let me make something up to give him an excuse why he got beat up. Like, there's no real evidence behind that being true. Errol never said that. His coach never said that. Somebody told Showbiz off the record. Matter of fact, Showbiz could make that shit up himself if he wanted to. I'm not saying that he did, but the point is that there's no real substance behind that. It doesn't make sense, you know. I've been involved with boxing, not because I got that one professional fight, but because I've been involved with boxers, around boxers, and I'm telling you, my brother, taking pain medication right before the fight, nah, I don't believe it at all. You're hindering yourself. You're gonna get yourself hurt. So I don't believe it. Rocky Adams, Box Center, you're right about Bud, and everybody will see you know what you're talking about. I appreciate you, Rocky Adams. You know, listen, I'm going to tell you the funny thing. Before, and I'm talking about, you could go back on this same channel like a year and a half ago. And I was saying, yo, the fight to make is Crawford versus Canelo. That's the fight to make. And people were telling me, yo, you don't know shit about boxing. There's weight classes for a reason. That fight's never going to happen. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't waste your time. And even people telling me, I'm not interested in that fight because there's weight class for a reason. Why would Crawford move up all them weight classes? Canelo's never going to give him an opportunity. Now that the fight is actually happening, everybody forgot that they said that to me. Or the people who said those words, they forgot now. Now they want the fight. Now they rooting for the fight. Now they making predictions and they're excited about the fight. The same people that told me that fight doesn't make no sense and wasn't going to happen. And I'm telling you, Terence Crawford is a special fighter. I shouldn't have to say this. Everybody should know this already. With what happened with Errol Spence. We should all know this already. But those who don't want to accept reality will find out on September 13th. I could tell you that, my brother. El Fantasma de Geraldo Leden. I don't either. The Mexican G. I think Spence just got outclassed completely. Completely outclassed. That's what happened. Crawford was simply the better boxer in the ring that night. Had a great game plan, executed. The Mexican G, I think Spence prepared as best as he could. Crawford was just a better man in boxing. Then there's bust, a winner, and a loser. That's boxing. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. And I'm going to tell you something. Part of the reason why I predicted that Terence Crawford was going to beat Errol Spence, that's why I love YouTube. The receipts are up there. You can go check them out. I predicted Errol Spence was going to get knocked out in the 8th or the 9th round. Did a bunch of videos predicting. In some videos, I predicted the 8th, and in some, I predicted the 9th. But I predicted the stoppage, right? And this is what I saw in Errol and Crawford that people were ignoring. Terence Crawford, the guy who's always in the gym, the guy who's always in great shape, the guy who doesn't party, doesn't do drugs, doesn't drink. There's no video of him out there smoking or no pictures of him out there fat, out of shape. Look at Errol Spence now. Go back. Between fights, see how many times Errol Spence have gotten fat between fights. Like with a gut, tits, between fights. So Errol Spence had a reputation for not going to the gym when he didn't have a fight lined up. If a contract isn't signed, Errol wasn't in the gym. While Crawford, with no opponent running in the gym, training, sparring, without even having an opponent lined up. So you're talking about a gym rat versus a guy who only goes in the gym when the contract is signed. And then Errol, you could see him on social media partying with Yella Beezy, getting twisted, smoking, drinking, having a great time in clubs. Crawford in the gym. So when I saw Crawford, the way that he's going about it, I will compare him, the way that he goes about his career, I will compare him to Floyd Mayweather. I will compare him to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I will compare him to the all-time greats of other sports who have that quality in common, that their discipline is to another level. The way that they take care of their body is to another level. Errol Spence wasn't at that level when it came to taking care of his body. So when you take two great fighters, but one take care of his body and one don't, the one that's taking care of himself gonna whoop that ass 9 out of 10 times. Believe it. 9 out of 10 times that ass getting whooped. El Fantasma de Geraldo Ledén, it just wasn't his day, will sound better. Yeah, it'll sound better, but the truth is that Terence Crawford was the better fighter because he was better in the ring and better physically outside the ring when they was preparing. Punisher, he looked high in his entrance. Only reason I believe it, before he even mentioned that, I was thinking, this dude is clearly high. Why would put two and two together? Probably because he might have pain from that crash. I mean, it's like I said earlier, my brother. Why would he have pain from that crash that happened years ago and he didn't sustain any major injuries? Bro, Spence didn't break a single bone in his body. He didn't break his back. He didn't, have injuries to his back to have pain from that accident. He didn't break anything. The Mexican G. I never imagined the fight being that one-sided. I was sure Spence was going to mop the floor with Crawford. You see? That's what makes it that special, though, the Mexican G. The fact that so many people thought Spence was going to beat him up, and for Crawford to win in that fashion, that's what makes it even more special. Punisher. But that's already over. It's Canelo versus Crawford next. All that matters. That's it. Those who didn't understand how special Terence Crawford is when he beat Canelo the way that when he beat Errol the way that he beat him, y'all gonna find out how special he is when he put the beats on Canelo. And I'm predicting a competitive fight because how great Canelo is, but styles make fights. And I'll remind y'all that there's already been two fighters that made Canelo look bad. And I said it. Crawford has the physical advantages to make Canelo look bad. I expect it to be a competitive fight. But I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo make him look bad too. Don't get it twisted. If Crawford is able to keep Canelo at the end of that jab, Canelo's going to be in trouble. I'm telling you that right now. The Mexican G. We all knew Spence had discipline problems outside the ring, especially with alcohol, but he was always rose to the occasion, so we didn't think it would suddenly affect him. He was able to get away with it, gaining weight between fights, partying, a lot. He was able to get away with it, but finally he faced an opponent that he wasn't going to be able to get away with that. He faced an opponent who was the total opposite outside the ring as far as taking care of his body. That's it. That's murder, she wrote. The Mexican G. After seeing Canelo's last performance, it's a 50-50 fight. I mean, look, I'm going to be honest. I don't knock Canelo for his last fight because William Skull was there to survive. He was not there to try to win. He was not there to try to be aggressive. He didn't throw punches to actually try to hurt Canelo. He would score some points and try to keep Canelo away as much as he could. But he wasn't there to win. Look, William Skull, Edgar Berlanga, and Jermel Charlo. William Skull, Edgar Berlanga, and Jermel Charlo, they was not there to beat Canelo. They was there to survive. That's how I saw them. And when you're facing an opponent that's there to survive, it's hard to knock them out. It's hard to engage them when they constantly trying to get away and not really trading with you. It's hard. So I don't knock Canelo for that last performance. He could have did a better job cutting off the ring. But again, you got a Cuban fighter, with great footwork, with that long reach. It was hard to catch up to him. Punisher. Only reason I believe it was because I will arrow be high because he clearly looked high. Okay. Who cares? Canelo versus Crawford finna be fire. Yo, Canelo versus Crawford, I believe is gonna do great numbers. And it's interesting to see that it's gonna be on Netflix. I know yesterday some people that joined the live was knocking it like, oh, I don't know about Netflix. I don't know. But I will tell you, Netflix is a global application. People all over the world got Netflix. So everybody and anybody who wants to buy this fight will be able to buy it. By the way, I haven't seen the price. I know it's announced for that date for September, but I don't know the price. They haven't. I think that before they announce the price, maybe they're going to wait till they have all of the fighters who are going to be in that card, because Turkey yesterday posted saying, to the big name fighters to reach out to him if they want to fight in that undercard, the Canelo versus Crawford undercard. So let's see. Let's see who's gonna fight on that night. I guess they don't have all the fights lined up. Not I guess they don't have them lined up if Turkey's posted about that. So I'm interested in seeing who's gonna fight on that night, on that card. The Mexican G, I think Crawford's gonna be Canelo's last fight. Well, I think they will have a rematch, but I think he wanted to end his career with Crawford. Well, we shall see. I mean, Canelo obviously is going to make a lot of money. It's been reported that he's going to make like $100 million, or some reports say $150 million. I don't know yet. But if he loses to Crawford, let's say he loses, and then he loses the rematch, I don't think that he retires. I don't think that Canelo's going to retire off of a loss. I think he'll try to fight somebody else and get a win and even get a title and then retire. But if he does beat Crawford, then I think he may retire. Although the one thing I've heard, I don't know if this is facts, that the rematch clause is one-sided. Like if Canelo loses, there will be a rematch. But if Crawford loses, he doesn't have a rematch clause in his favor. So he doesn't get a rematch if he loses. I read that somewhere. I don't know if that's a fact. Rocky Adams. And you're not saying this about Bud because you like Bud. It's different. A killer. You have the eyes for boxing. We haven't seen Errol. Nobody is right after fighting Bud. Yo, listen. Errol Spence, I've been super worried about him. You know why? If you remember, immediately after Errol Spence and Terence Crawford fought, Errol Spence, it's almost like he went into hiding. He deactivated his Instagram. His Instagram still deactivated since then, 2 years. He stopped posting pictures. Errol used to post pictures, him hanging out with Yellow BZ and with the family. He used to post pictures and videos all the time. Errol disappeared from social media for months when you didn't even see him. Now, I understand, because, you got your face all swole up and you're waiting to heal. I understand that part. But even, 6 months down the line, you really hadn't seen Errol Spence anywhere. And even till today, think about how limited is what you've seen Errol Spence. I remember at first, when there were questions like, "Is Errol Spence okay? Is Errol Spence okay? We don't know where he's at." They will show a picture like, "Yeah, look, Errol's good. Look at this picture of him and his family," and it will be a picture like from a distance, from across the street, where you see him, but you don't really see him like that. And you don't see him talking. You don't see him giving interviews. You don't know if his speech is good. And even till today, how much we've seen Errol is very limited. So honestly, I spoke about it. I feel like, if Errol is not good, if that beating mess him up a little bit in here, he should retire and never fight again. But I don't know what's going on with his physical situation. But I was worried. I really was. Punisher, what's your thoughts on the no running rule people are talking about? I mean, I don't know, cause I don't know about no running rule. I don't even know what that is. I've heard people say, "Oh, there's gonna be a no running rule," but in a boxing match, what the hell is a no running rule? Cause technically there is no running in boxing, anyways. People call it running when they see the footwork. They don't want to see footwork. They want two guys to stand in front of each other, rock 'em, sock 'em robots. But there's no running in boxing unless you turn around and literally run from your opponent. That happens rarely. Where somebody turns around and goes like this and take a few steps to face their opponent once again, that doesn't happen all the time, B. That's crazy. So I don't even know what a running rule is. Punisher, Frank Martin did it as well. Frank Martin did it. What did Frank Martin do, my brother? The Mexican G. I think Spence is dealing with confidence issues. He was on top for so long and never faced defeat. When he finally did face defeat, he got whooped in a lopsided fight. I mean, I think that can affect your confidence. It can affect your confidence because you got to think about the fact you're used to being on the winning side. You're used to dishing out, beatings. And all of a sudden you step up and you get beat up by a guy who everybody thought you was going to beat. So I think that can affect your confidence, for sure. Clarence McLean, top of the morning, my brother. Ooh, no Doug Zone podcast in the building. What's the deal, my G? Appreciate you dropping in, man. Talking about this whole situation, Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, and how people are underestimating Bud. They feel like he's going to get knocked down, he's going to get walked down. And it was kind of like the same narrative that was going around when he was going to fight Errol Spence. And we saw how that played out. We saw what happened. Ozzy, Bud said to Canelo that he's going to stop him. Did you see that? He said he can stop him. But very confident. I seen that, my brother. Crawford is confident in himself. I mean, we also got to understand, Canelo is confident too. Canelo said 100% he's sure he's going to beat Crawford. So they're both confident in themselves. We're going to find out September 13th. Punisher, Frank Martin went ghost like Errol for a bit after that Tank fight. I think Frank Martin, his problem is also being able to line up opponents. His problem is also that he got Errol Spence. He signed to Errol Spence. But Errol Spence is not even fucking with boxing like that right now. Even Frank Martin said it himself. He said, look, right now he is going to the gym. He's in shape. But I don't know if he's going to box. He's focusing on investments and properties that he's buying, his family. He's not really focused on boxing right now. So we don't even know. Errol Spence hinted that he's coming back because he said, I'll come back when I'm ready. That's suggesting that he's coming back. But is he? We don't know. We don't know. Ozzy, I don't think he can KO Canelo, but he can make the referee stop the fight maybe. So I tell you what, Ozzy, it's hard to KO Canelo, but it's possible. If you catch him with a punch that he doesn't see coming, it's possible. That's the thing. Canelo, his defense is underrated. His defense is very good. Canelo takes, if you notice, Canelo takes a lot of punches that they don't land flush because he rolls with it. He'll go like that. Oh, he'll get hit and he'll roll with it. He does that a lot. So, for you to roll with the punch, you got to see it coming for you to be able to roll with it. He does that a lot. So it's hard to catch him with some. But if Crawford can catch him with a counter shot, let's say Canelo shoots a lead right hand and Crawford is able to go under it and catch him with a counter uppercut like he caught Arrow, he could knock him out. He could drop him and knock him out. He could hurt him real bad. And if he hurt him real bad, he can also knock him out. But, Canelo got a very, very good defense. His ring awareness is very good. So, it's hard to catch Canelo with that punch. Nobody has ever done it yet. You saw the type of shots that he ate from Triple G. Canelo ate some bombs from Golovkin. And he didn't go down. But again, those bombs didn't catch him by surprise. He saw them coming. So to, I see the fight ending, Crawford winning by unanimous decision. I don't see Crawford knocking him out, but it can happen. Clarence McLean, press conference in New York, June 22nd. Can't wait. Yeah, man, that's fire. You gonna be there? Are you gonna be there, Clarence? That's fire, bro. They had to make a stop in New York. Big fight like this, they have to do it. Punisher. Nah, the no running move is what Skull did against Canelo, what David did versus Ramirez, what Shakur did versus, just to give you some examples, too much footwork, no offense. I mean, but that's not a rule. You're talking about fights that happened, but you're not talking about a rule, my brother. There is no rule. So I understand what, if you want to call that running, I understand that, but there is no rule. What running rule are we talking about? There's no such thing. Ozzy, I think fighters like Canelo and Spence will keep fighting no matter what. The referee or corner will have to stop it. I mean, they'll keep fighting, but I promise you, if the referee would allow Errol to continue, Crawford would have knocked him out. Brutally. It would have been a stoppage. So, Errol got saved. Errol got saved by the ref. I promise you. William Allen, Canelo chin is way stronger than Errol. I agree with you. 100%. I was just saying earlier, Canelo ate Triple G's biggest bombs and didn't go down. But, like I said, my brother, no matter how good of a chin you got, if you get hit at the right moment, in the right spot, you're done. You're cooked. So, Crawford got the power that if he lands the right shot, he could sleep him. Brutally, my brother, I promise you. Punisher. Boxing should be defense first, but with a heavy offense to go hand in hand with it. Yeah, boxing is hit and not get hit, but motherfuckers forget the hit part. A bit weak offense, boxing would be better. Boxing would be better for sure. I mean, you gotta understand, my brother, styles make fights, because you're saying it would be better, but you have, for example, Dmitry Bivol versus Arthur Beterbiev. That was the type of fight that you're talking about. Bivol, great defense, but with a great offense to go with it. And Beterbiev, the crazy offense to go with it. We saw how that played out. Look at Tank Davis and Lamar Roach. Look at how that fight played out. So there's a lot of fights that play out exactly the way that you're describing it, with fighters who got great defense, but they got that offensive firepower too. There's a lot of fights that play out that way. But styles make fights. Everybody, doesn't need to fight the same way. That's what makes it interesting. I don't want to see everybody fight the same way. I want to see everybody fight with their own style, and it's about, can your style beat mine? So if you don't like Shakur, for example, you mentioned him as a guy that was running. If you don't like Shakur, beat him. Find a guy that can beat him, that can beat his style. Because right now his style is reigning supreme. You need help. You don't know anything about boxing. You can't even read, nigga. You got it, fam. You got it. When you go in a chat, my brother, and that's the first thing you said, I guarantee you, you never box a day in your life. You never box a day in your life. When you go in a chat, that's the first thing you say, I promise you, you never laced on a pair of gloves in your life. Respectfully, you don't know shit about boxing. But I invite you to subscribe to Box Center so you could get educated. The Mexican G. I'm not a fan of movers in boxing, but trying to make a rule against fighters with good footwork is ridiculous. Is that how are you really gonna enforce such a rule? How much footwork are you gonna be allowed to use? Are you gonna have to stand in the middle of the ring and just go rock 'em, sock 'em robots? You can't. Listen, no running rule. There can never be such thing. There is no such thing as a no running rule. There is no running in boxing. I understand if you don't like the footwork, if you don't like that style of boxing, cool. But they're not gonna make a rule in boxing because you don't like a certain style. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't like the way these guys box. Make a rule so they can't box like that anymore. That's crazy work. That's crazy work, bro. Punisher. Yeah, Bivol engages, so he ain't a problem. And it's about actually throwing more and use your footwork, but do something with it. If you can have footwork and still not be affected by the rule. Bro, there is not ever going to be a rule to adjust to what people want to see. It's a combat sport, and we fight based on our style of boxing. They not going to make a rule to say, well, people find you boring, so let's make a rule so you have to be exciting for them. That's never going to happen, bro. I've been hearing about the no running rule, and I'm like, yo, who came up with this shit? That's crazy. I just took care of that idiot. I appreciate you, Clarence. Goofball. The Mexican G, exactly. What determines what running and what's footwork? Come on, bro. Like, that doesn't even make no sense. How can you have a running rule in boxing, and how will you even be able to enforce it? Imagine. You imagine a fighter gets hit and uses his footwork, and the referee stops the fight to remove a point from him. Like, nah, you used the footwork. You ran. There's no way to enforce a rule like that. You can't do it. Rocky Adams. I like the topic. Keyshawn reminds me of Bud. I'm not mad at Keyshawn because his fight game is on point. The businessman do need to stay on point about his business, and Keyshawn will beat Mason. So Rocky Adams, Keyshawn Davis, and Abdullah Mason is not gonna happen, my brother. Unfortunately for us. Why? Because as you know, Keyshawn Davis was stripped of that WBO title because he couldn't make weight. So, based off of what he said, I think we can already assume he's headed to 140. And I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to be his next opponent in that division, or his first opponent. Abdullah Mason is going to end up fighting for a vacant WBO strap. I believe it's a possibility that we could get Abdullah Mason versus Edwin De Los Santos for that vacant title. Why? Because remember, De Los Santos was going to get a title shot. That's it. He was going to get a title shot last Saturday. The fight fell through because Keyshawn Davis didn't make weight. But shouldn't De Los Santos still get an opportunity to fight for that belt? So that's my logic right there. You know, I feel like that it might be De Los Santos versus Abdullah Mason for that vacant strap. That's how I see it as a possibility. And by the way, I think Abdullah Mason will beat Edwin De Los Santos. That's going to be his toughest opponent To date, if they fight, I got Abdullah winning that fight. The Mexican G, stop avoiding punches and get CTE. Yeah, bro, they want people to come out of boxing punch drunk. Do y'all see some of them fighters that fought that style that you love? How they look today or how they talk? Some of those fighters from the 90s that was rock'em sock'em, how they look today? Come on now, I'm not even going to name nobody, but some fighters, they can't even talk right anymore, bro. Rocky Adams, keep up the great work. I appreciate you, my brother, no doubt. We're going to keep grinding, my G. Just waiting for my opportunity to show up. I don't know if it's going to be ESPN, The Zone, Showtime. Well, Showtime is out of boxing. Prime, Amazon. Somebody going to call. They're going to be like, yeah, we got to see what you're talking about. Clarence McLean, smash that like button. Appreciate it, my brother. Yeah, my peoples, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to Box Center. Y'all already know what it is, man. This is your favorite boxer's favorite boxing show. Now, since we're talking about all that running stuff, and for whatever reason, Shakur name gets brought up. Oh, Shakur. Why is it that when Shakur only bring up the fight with Edwin De Los Santos? Why they don't bring up the fight with Jamel Herring, who he stopped in the 10th round? Pummel him. Why they don't bring the fight with Oscar Valdez? Pummel him. Made it look easy. They bring up the fight that he didn't look great. Crazy work. The hate for Shakur is unreal these days. The Mexican G. Look at Floyd, still sharp and coherent due to a strong defense. That's what I'm talking about. Floyd took care of himself. And right now, people just consider the fact that Floyd is considered the GOAT, how great he is, how much money he got. But I remember when people used to say that Floyd run too much, that he was boring to watch, that they fall asleep in his fights. I remember that. I'm 46 years old, about to be 47. I watched Floyd's entire career. And there was a narrative around him that he was boring. That he a runner. And look at Floyd today. Sharp. Why? Because he didn't take a lot of punishment. He didn't take a lot of beatings. He wasn't in a bunch of dogfights. He was in a couple of tough ones. But for the most part, Floyd didn't take punishment throughout his career. And that's why he retired. He's good right now. And I'm not even talking about financially. I'm talking about physically. I'm talking about mentally. He good. Then you look at fighters who was rock'em sock'em robot. Yo, listen, this no running rule shit was made up out of thin air by fans of boxing who hate Shakur and hate other fighters who use that footwork. So that hate, they want to rule because they want to see them lose. They want to see them take punishment. So they're like, damn, I don't want you to use the footwork so you could take punishment. Ain't no such thing as a no running rule, man. That's crazy work. Punisher. That doesn't mean everyone will fight the same. There are so many styles in boxing. It just means you can't just move around like a gazelle around the ring and not throw. You can move like a gazelle but not throw. I mean, listen, boxing is boxing, my brother. That rule, it doesn't exist and it's never going to exist. Nobody's going to control your movement in a combat sport. How you can move and how. That doesn't make sense, my brother. I know you want it to be more exciting and you don't want people to move or you want to see more offense. But moving is part of the combat. Moving is part of combat. Maker Floyd and Rogers' pad work was on another level. Kept them sharp. Hell yeah, they was on another level. For real. The Mexican G. Floyd wasn't always the most exciting fighter, but you have to respect him. Fought the best and beat them. Yo, Floyd, sometimes his fights were not as exciting, it's true. But Floyd Mayweather just did what he had to do to win every single fight. You know, he didn't get a lot of knockouts. He didn't get a lot of highlight reels. He won over and over and over. The greatest BX brawler is called boxing, not slugfest. That's what I'm talking about, the great BX brawler. It's boxing. It's a lot of techniques that you can use. Footwork is one of them. When you say, nah, let's put a rule so they can't use no running rule. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's not about that. Boxing is a combat sport. It's a strategic sport. If you put a rule like that, you're automatically going to eliminate an aspect of it. You can't do it. The Mexican G. Why do you think James Toney is punch drunk? He had great defense. James Toney had great defense, but he didn't have great defense at the tail end of his career. He took a lot of punishment. So I would say after he hit maybe like 32, 33, now maybe even a little bit more. But there was a point where James Toney, he didn't have that head movement anymore the same. He didn't have that footwork anymore the same because of his age. And he started taking a lot of punishment. And James Toney took a lot of big shots at the tail end of his career. I think that's what affected him. Punisher, bad example you gave. Cause I brought Get That Cool versus Santos fight because in that fight it's why people want the rule. What he did in his other fights is good. He won. Be affected by the rule in those fights. I mean, my brother, is that you're talking about it's like you're talking about a rule that somebody made up in their head. There is no rule. I don't know why you're talking about him being affected by a rule that doesn't exist. I'm telling you, there is no such rule. Okay. I'm telling you, my brother, there is no such rule, and there isn't going to be no such rule. That rule is going to stay amongst casual boxing fans who don't like Shakur. Nobody else is talking about that rule. Nobody else is going to make that rule. That's just going to be a cool little talking point for Shakur haters. That's it. It's never going to be more than a cool little talking point for Shakur haters. Nobody is ever going to approve that rule. That rule will never be part of the sport of boxing. It will never be part of any combat sport because footwork is part of a sport. That rule will never be a rule. Like, how much time can you spend talking about a rule that doesn't exist and will never exist? Punisher. Hell no, I'm upset with footwork. But like I said again, I just mean you can't move like a gazelle around the ring. Not throwing, you can't move around like a gazelle. All you want but throw. Okay, bro, but how much time are you going to spend in a rule that doesn't exist and that I'm telling you will never exist? It's irrelevant. That rule is going to be a nice talking point for casual fans who don't like Shakur. Yeah, yo, they should put a rule. They should make... Like, look, how many times have you repeated the same thing about the rule? It just means that you could do this, but you can't really... Like, you're explaining a rule, my brother, that doesn't even exist. How deep into that rule can you really get into? The Mexican G, Showbiz has been pushing the no running rule. That's why it's been talked about. Showbiz. Look at that shit, man. Look, I got respect for Showbiz because he, from the bottom, grinding, made it as far as he's made it. He's already, a regular on the zone. So Showbiz, he's made it. He made it in boxing. So I give him his respect for that. But sometimes Showbiz be saying some goofy ass shit. He be saying some goofy ass shit. That's all I can tell you. Showbiz, if I'm not mistaken, man, Showbiz never boxed a day in his motherfucking life. Not one day in his life. So showbiz the entertainers, showbiz the entertainer, entertain my ass. I don't want to hear about no rules. You don't know shit about that. Backwood Bandit, facts. Maker, I think that rule, idea came out after Haney ran and Score ran too. So you see, there you have it. It's an idea. Somebody had an idea and been spreading it around social media. And it's gonna be an idea that is picked up by Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson haters, and so on and so forth. But it's an idea. Why we it's never gonna happen. I'm telling you. You see, as a fighter, I'm telling you, it's never gonna happen. Rocky Adams, what do we call you? And I have never been crazy about Floyd. He managed to make great fighters look average. I like Bud over Floyd and any day of the week. What do we call you? I'm Jay, my brother. Jay, a.k.a. Jay Smith, a.k.a. Jay Stradamus, a.k.a. the human algorithm. Look, Floyd Mayweather, like I said before, some of his fights were not as exciting, but you also have to consider the fact that Floyd fought, how many Hall of Famers, how many reigning world champions, in how many different divisions. There's a reason why Floyd is regarded as the greatest fighter of all time. And even when he's not, accepted as the greatest, he has to be in the conversation. You can't have a conversation about the greatest fighters of all time and not bring up Floyd. It's impossible. It's impossible. Punisher. That's why they are pushing for it. Let's see what happens. And people aren't talking about Shakur alone, bro. They mention other occasions and fighters as well. Yeah, my brother, but you're talking about they are pushing about it. Who's pushing about it? Who's pushing for it? For a no running rule. You know who's pushing for a no running rule? People who never boxed a day in their life. That's who's pushing for a no running rule. The Mexican G. Showbiz has come a long way. I remember his channel when it first started. You got to learn to cut off the ring. Viral, you seem chill. Have a good day, man. I appreciate you, my guy. You have a good day as well. Look, Showbiz is someone who started just like me, with his cell phone, recording little videos, and look how far he's gone. I'm gonna be honest, I've never really followed him like that because I see him more like an entertainer. If you remember when he started, he used to be doing all these kind of like little skits, like the way he did his videos. And I have never really followed him like that because he looks to me like an entertainer. And when it comes to boxing, I prefer more the people that are from boxing. And he didn't seem like someone who was from boxing, more of an entertainer who got into boxing. Maker, you're on your way to the top, Jay Smith, because you're a real one. I appreciate that, my brother. Listen, I've been getting some feedback from subscribers, from people who follow me on Instagram, and I really appreciate it because sometimes you feel confident in yourself as far as how far you're gonna make it. I could picture myself at the top, but that's your confidence in yourself. It's also good to see other people who believe in you, other people who before you get there, because I promise you, there's going to be a point where people are going to say, yeah, Jay, I knew you was going to get there. I knew you was going to do this. But in the beginning, right now, when nobody knows me, when I'm not famous, do you believe in me now? And there's a lot of people who, they think your son is going to stay right here and we'll see where it goes. By the way, my peoples, on July 12th, I am going to be participating in an exhibition bout. My peoples. So I'm going to be trading leather. Super looking forward to that. Super, I love boxing. I love talking about it. I love creating content for you guys. But what I love more than all of that is getting in the ring myself and trading leather. Ooh, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, my peoples. Punisher, exactly. It was after Devin and Skull. You saying core haters. Just search it up. Biz explains it better. So search if you want for a better explanation. Or don't you? I say search if you I mean I'll look it up. I'll look it up, Punisher. But it's what I'm trying to tell you. Showbiz. My brother Showbiz he's a content creator. He's an influencer. Showbiz, he doesn't work with any sanctioning body. He doesn't work with any boxing authority. He's an influencer, my brother. He's an entertainer. So you taking an idea from Showbiz and you want to make it a reality. And I'm telling you, it's never going to be a reality. Anybody who boxed is going to tell you that will never happen. People who never boxed, beautiful idea. Yo, if people don't move as much, boxing is going to be like this and it's going to be no fun. Yeah, that's because you never boxed a day in your life. It makes sense. But I'm trying to tell you, that will never happen. That's one of those ideas that is going to stay as an idea. Now, if you don't believe me, let the time that passes show you that it will never happen. The Mexican G, yeah, I like watching channels that are covered by people that actually fought. And that's what I'm saying. If you watch a boxing channel from someone who was a fighter, who's been in the ring, and then you watch a channel from somebody who never fought, never been involved in boxing, you're going to notice that a lot of times they have a different point of view. They have a different perspective. Why? Because if you only watched it, you cannot have the same perspective as somebody who's taking punishment, somebody who's been punched in the face. I've been punched in the face. I've been punched in the mouth. I've been dropped. I know what that feels like. It's a whole different perspective, my brother. Viral, I randomly just found your stream, and you have the right vibe for this. Excited for your bout. How long have you been boxing? I appreciate it, my brother. So I actually boxed as an amateur in New York City. Got to compete in the Golden Gloves, but I lost in the semifinals, and I quit boxing after that. So I'm 46 years old right now. My whole life, I've been following boxing, creating content, doing videos and all that stuff. And I finally, at 44 years old, I was like, you know what? I don't want to become an old man and say that I never boxed as a professional. Because when I quit boxing, I wanted to turn pro. I was just so disappointed that I lost. I was too confident, too cocky, and then I lost. I was so disappointed that I ended up quitting. But I always wanted to box as a professional. As a 44-year-old, I met a promoter here in the Dominican Republic, and I told him, yo, I need to fight. Get me a fighter. I need to fight. And he lined it up for me. Before I knew it, I was signing a contract. I was in training camp, and I made my pro debut at 44 years old, my brother. Now, I lost that fight. I lost, but at 44 years old, I made my pro debut versus a guy who was 35 years old, 9 years younger, and he had already fought professional 2 or 3 times. This was my debut. And the fight, it went the distance. It was a 4-rounder. I dropped him in the 3rd round. He dropped me in the last round. I got up. And when I got up, the round finished right there. So I couldn't keep fighting and try to, steal it from him. And that's it. I lost by decision. But I would tell you, my brother, that I would never take that experience back. Just getting in the ring, what it feels like to actually do your ring walk. You're walking towards the ring. You're about to fight. To see your opponent look at each other in the eyes. And I tell you, boxing as a professional is different than boxing as an amateur, number one, because you're wearing the headgear, which actually protects from some of that punishment. But also, you get the sensation when you're fighting as a professional that you're out there to hurt each other. You're really trying to hurt each other. As an amateur, you're kind of trying to score points. You're trying to win on points. You guys probably know, if you watch amateur boxing, there's not as many knockouts in amateur boxing. And it's because you're mostly trying to score points and win the fight. In professional boxing, you could see the difference. Y'all trying to hurt each other. And that's a whole different ball game. Whole different ball game. Maker, they might make a rule in those Misfits YouTube influencer fights. There you go. I agree with that, my brother. The Mexican G, Nadine was slick, underrated fighter. I agree 100%. That's facts. But the Mexican G, you heard what Maker said? They might make it a rule in those Misfits YouTube influencer fights. That no running rule, you might see it like in some backyard boxing or some club boxing or some tough man competitions. But in professional boxing, that's never going to happen, bro. Flames, I wonder if Turkey considered Nassim a runner. I mean, I don't know. I don't know because, like I said, there's always going to be bias. That's why there could never be a no running rule. You're going to see some fighters that you like, and you'll be like, nah, that's just great footwork. And then you're going to see another fighter that you don't like, and you're going to be like, yeah, he running too much. That's running, but he doing exactly the same thing that the other guy was doing. So for some guys, you're going to see it as running. For some guys, you're going to be like, nah, it's just great footwork. Notification de problema, bro. Yo, you look Moroccan. I mean, I'm saying, though, you know, we all in a way come from Africa. One way or another, we connected. Flames, I wonder if Turkey considered Nassim. Oh, no. I already seen that comment. Punisher, I'm all in for footwork. On text and over the phone, it's limited. Not the same as being in person discussing, so I might sound bad. But I'm all in, saying I agree with them legs. It's important, but throw. I know what you're saying, Punisher. You're saying use the footwork, but throw punches. I know what you're saying, my brother. But I'm telling you, there's never going to be a running rule in boxing. Only people who never box will talk about a no running rule. That will never happen. That's an idea from showbiz who never boxed. And it's going to be supported by other people who never boxed. But inside of boxing, my brother, I promise you, nobody's ever going to support that rule. Nobody. It's never going to exist. You know, people are going to talk about it for a little while, and then it's going to die out, and people are going to forget about it. It's never going to happen. Rocky Adams. I seen Showbiz hitting the bag. He looks awkward and slow. You will definitely blow up. Remember I said that. I appreciate that, my brother. I appreciate it, Rocky Adams. Matter of fact, I posted a short of me doing pad work. Check me out, my people. You see Showbiz hitting the bag. He didn't look good. I'm not going to be out there looking like Showbiz when you see me hitting the bag, bro. I could tell you that right now. Whether I'm hitting the bag or hitting the pads, I'm definitely not going to be like looking like Showbiz out there. I can guarantee you that, my God. Flames, top man, you're right. Aciel Espinosa, saludos, Tigres, saludos, hermanito mío. Appreciate you, bro. Victor J, stop fanboying for Shakur performance against Santos and Nakatila. What? Who was talking about Shakur performance against Santos and Nakatila? You're the one that brought that up. You're the Shakur fanboy who every time you come through, you bring up Shakur, bro. You're the Shakur fanboy, not me. Ain't nobody talking about no Shakur. Check. Look, if y'all see Showbiz working, hitting the bag, check me out hitting the pad, the doing pad work, my people. Look at the difference. Look at the difference, my people. Watch this. Check it out. Ooh, you see the right hand, the straight right hand and the hook? Ooh, straight right hand and the left hook. That's my bread and butter right there. That straight right hand and the left hook, bread and butter. Trying to tell you, my peoples, me and Showbiz, we not on the same thing. Showbiz, he great at what he does. Showbiz the entertainer, man. Like I said, man, I salute him. Great at what he does. But I'm a fighter, my people. So me and him, we not Victor J. Nice hook. I appreciate it, my brother. So as a fighter at heart, me and Showbiz, we not gonna have the same point of view. We not gonna have the same perspective, and we definitely not gonna look the same hitting the bag. That's for sure. Victor J, you're a perfect next opponent for Jake Paul. Damn. I mean, for the type of money that I will make, I'll get in the ring with Jake Paul. I'll get up in there. Take a couple punches, try to dish a few, and get the bag. But my people, like I said, look, the whole thing about the running rule is crazy. You know, the whole thing. First of all, it's like we're talking about a rule that doesn't exist and that I promise you will never exist. You know, I know that there's people who don't like a certain style of boxing, or people who want to see more action or want to see more punches, but combat is not about what we enjoy. Here's the most important thing about combat is that I have to find a way to beat you, and you have to find a way to beat me. We might have the same style, we might have a different style, but at the end of the day, styles make fights. So, what people call running, there's no such thing as running in boxing. That's why there could never be a no running rule. There is no such thing as running in boxing. It's all about a strategy to win. Not only a strategy to win, think about the times that a fighter gets hit with a good shot, boom, gets hurt, and uses that footwork to get his composure back, uses that footwork to be able to get back into a rhythm and come back and win that fight. We see that. But if there's a no running rule, how far can you actually restrict it? Is there gonna be a punch count? Like you gotta, if you move, you gotta throw one punch after you move, or you gotta throw two punches when you move to the left, or there's no way to actually measure it. Styles make fights, and you have to allow every single style. You don't like him, find somebody that can beat him. You don't like Shakur, you don't like Devin, find somebody that can beat him. As simple as that. Simple as that. They have a style, you have a style, your style has to beat theirs. The Mexican G, the power looks good. You got fast hands, appreciate it, my brother. Yeah, man, I got a little son. 46 years old, I still got a little son. I'm looking forward to next month, my brother. I told you I'm gonna be doing this little exhibition, and I promise you, when it's an exhibition fight, as boxing fans, we hear exhibitions, just a little exhibition. But trust me, people be trying to put hands on each other in them exhibition fights. Flaco Arismendi, for real, what's the deal, my G? The Mexican G. Keith Thurman almost got knocked out against Jose Ramirez. His footwork helped him survive. He got hurt. He got hurt in that fight. He got hurt. Rocky Adams, thanks for showing us that, Jay. Are you still active today? It's true. You look decent. I would like to see more. So, I'm not active right now. I only had one professional fight when I was 44 years old, and I wanted to have the rematch, but brother did not want to rematch me. In fact, Rocky Adams, you can go to my videos and scroll down. I posted my fight probably like a couple of weeks ago. So if you scroll down, you'll find it fairly quick. The title of it is like Jay Smith's pro debut or something like that. So check out my fight, and you'll be able to see me trading leather professionally. That fight was actually televised. So what you'll be able to see is my fight from the TV broadcast. It's not, like somebody recorded it with their phone from the stands or anything like that. It's my fight from the actual broadcast. The Mexican G. You grew up in New York? Yes, brother, I grew up in New York, Harlem. And we digressed. By the way, this whole live is about Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez. They're going to be fighting in September. They're both confident. They're both saying, I'm going to win this fight 100%. I'm going to win it. And I will tell you, my peoples, I got Bud winning that fight by unanimous decision. And we're going to now have to talk about, forget about Crawford being the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. That's automatic. But we're going to have to talk about where is Terence Crawford going to land on the all-time greats list. That's what we're going to have to start talking about. The Mexican G. The boxing scene has always been alive in New York. Hell yeah, my brother. Hell yeah. Of course. And, yo, I used to train. That's something, an experience that I'm so thankful for. I used to train in Gleason's gym, my brother, in Brooklyn. And I met Zab Judah when he was like, I think Zab was like 11-0 or 12-0 when I met him. And I used to see Zab Judah training every day. I got the experience to see a guy who would become a world champion, a great fighter. I got to see him training every day in the gym. I got to see what it took. I got to see him sparring a lot. I got to see Zab Judah sparring 3-4 people back to back. And I got to see how some people would be in the gym and they would stop doing what they're doing to watch Zab sparring. That was an experience. And not just Zab Judah. I mentioned Zab Judah because he was in that gym and he was there every day, so I always saw him. But when you talk about Gleason's gym, I don't know today, but every big name fighter who went to New York had to go to Gleason's. Like, that's the type of gym that is, or that was at least. If you're a big name fighter, you go through Gleason's. I got to see Arturo Gatti, Tito Trinidad, Oscar De La Hoya. Who else I saw? I saw Mike Tyson. Mitch Blood Green used to train over there. I used to see Mitch Green all the time. He used to go over there to hit the pads, hit the bag and shit. Mad loud. A lot of fighters from that era, I got to see them in Gleason's gym. It's like, if you were somebody in boxing and you went to New York, and I'm not even talking about guys that went to Gleason's to train. I'm talking about guys who just showed up. Just went over there to go check out Gleason's. The Mexican G, he was giving Floyd the business early in the fight. Yeah. Facts. But then he kind of like started running out of gas, and that's when Floyd took over. But if Zab Judah would have had more in the tank, I think he could have beat Floyd. Zab Judah had the skills to beat Floyd, but he didn't have the physical conditioning to beat him. I think that was also the case with Sugar Shane Mosley. He had the skills, not the physical condition. You saw that he ran out of gas, and Floyd kept pressing the gas, pressing him. And that's Floyd Mayweather, man. That's why he's such a great fighter. That's why Floyd, you have to give him his respect, whether you like him or not. You got to give him his respect. You got to say, yo, this dude is a great fighter. Whether you believe he's the greatest or not, you have to acknowledge that he's great. There's no way around it. If you look at Floyd Mayweather's accomplishments, he has to be in that conversation. He etched his name in history with what he was able to accomplish. The Mexican G, I think Zab had the skill, but he did a lot of outpace the ring. You now drinking and partying. Yeah, Zab was living a crazy lifestyle. It got to a point where he was so famous, you were seeing him, in music videos, rappers talking about him on TV. him getting into little scuffles here and there in the streets. Zab had an entourage rolling with him. So I think the fame affected him to where, he was around a lot of partying, around a lot of, I don't know if he was smoking weed too. And I think that was part of the reason why Zab took some of his losses early on after he lost to Kasazu. But still, man, Zab Judah, one of the greatest fighters to ever come out of Brooklyn. Hands down. There's no getting around that. Out of Brooklyn, Mike Tyson, Zab Judah. There's a lot of fighters came out of Brooklyn. But Mike Tyson, Zab Judah. Brooklyn icons. The Mexican G. Floyd, on the other hand, was dedicated like nobody else. Remember Zab knocked some dude out over a dice game? That shit was hilarious. But Zab is known to have knocked people out in the streets. That's not the only knockout that he got in the streets, yo. He got some knockouts out there. Rocky Adams. Jay, will you be live the same time every day? It's smart to go live at such an odd time. Smart move. So I normally go live between 6:30 and 7 p.m. Eastern time every day, or almost every day. But sometimes I go live in the morning before I go on my run. So I'm about to go, run a little 5-6 miles. But before that, I said, let me go live. Let me talk boxing with my peoples. This whole thing going on with Canelo, with Crawford, and everything going on in boxing. The Mexican G. Danny Jacobs was also a good fighter from Brooklyn. Yeah. Hell yeah. Danny Jacobs could fight. He put up a good fight with Canelo Alvarez. Put up a real good fight with Canelo Alvarez. I think that right there shows you how good he was. And, Danny Jacobs is a guy who fought. He's one of those throwback type of fighters who like, yo, if you fight, I'll fight. He was willing to fight everybody and anybody. Didn't Danny Jacobs fight Triple G too? Did he? I can't remember. I think he fought Triple G as well. But Danny Jacobs, a heck of a fighter from Brooklyn. He also beat cancer. God damn, bro. God damn. Cancer is one of those things that you just never know, man. Some people beat it. Some people don't. Some people beat it. It comes back more aggressive and then they lose to it. It's crazy. The Mexican G, yeah. Put up a good fight against Triple G. Yeah. I kind of wasn't sure because it's been a long time since Danny Jacob was doing his thing like that. But he's a guy that came out of Brooklyn who can fight, who had a good career, who had some good wins, made some good money. Hell yeah. So make your predictions, my peoples. Canelo, before I end this live, I want to see you guys make your prediction. And I want to see you guys make your prediction with just a name. Don't say nothing. Don't give me no explanation. I don't want to hear that shit. A name. Put a name up there. Hold on. Remember, my peoples, I don't want to hear your reasoning behind it or how you think it's going to play out. And I'm going to put this on, I'm going to make a video of this, so there's going to be a receipt, my people. There's going to be evidence of who you rocking with. There's going to be evidence. So go ahead, my people, put a name up. Canelo or Crawford. Who you got winning this fight? Rocky Adams, Jamal Charlo looks sharp. And Clarissa, she looked fast. Her last fight. They both look real good, my brother. That's a fact. The Mexican G's the first one to weigh in. Canelo. J.P. Farley. Canelo. Okay, y'all got Canelo winning. Rocky Adams. Bud. There we go. We got one for Bud Crawford. So we got two people say Canelo's going to win. One person rocking with me and Terence Bud Crawford. He going to whoop that ass. Damn, you see? People not really confident in who they going for. It's 24 of us up in this live, and only 2 people went in. Only 2 went in to say Canelo. Yeah, Canelo. Where's all the Canelo people? Jump in and leave your evidence. Leave your receipt. Let me know how confident you is. that Canelo's gonna win that fight. I'm making my prediction, and I already made my prediction on video a million times. I got Terence Bud Crawford winning by unanimous decision. So I would just write right there, Bud. That's it. Terence Bud Crawford is that guy. Da la vuelta por allá. Ay. Now I'm saying, hold on. I'm letting them know, Ryan. I'm letting them know. Wait a minute. Did you say good morning to me? You want to say good morning? Good morning. Good morning, Ryan. You want to say good morning to them? Say good morning. They watching you. Canelo gonna win this fight 100%. I mean, a lot of people feel 100% that Canelo's gonna win this fight, but I'm telling you, Crawford is gonna win this fight 100%. What we say is gonna be meaningless. September 13th, we're gonna find out. But I could tell you why Crawford winning the fight. The Mexican G, whose little man got? Ryan, you got Crawford or Canelo? You got Crawford or Canelo? Who you got? Crawford. He got Crawford. You see what I'm saying? Tell them. He got Crawford. You got Crawford beating Canelo ass? Yeah, you see? Even he know Crawford gonna beat Canelo ass. Told you. You see? Jay Stradamus is telling you Terence Bud Crawford is gonna beat Canelo. Ryan told y'all he's gonna beat Canelo. What you want? That's it. You don't need to know nothing else. La batería se rompió. So tell them, look, Crawford is gonna win, right? You wanna tell them? Man, you looking over there. I'm showing you the phone right here. You see the phone right there? Look. He tried to say that Canelo's gonna win. Look. And I'm telling him it's Crawford. Canelo? What you mean Canelo? You just said Crawford was gonna win. Canelo? Man, stop playing with me. Canelo's punches will destroy him. I mean, are Canelo's punches gonna destroy him like they destroyed Bivol and like they destroyed Floyd Mayweather? You tell me. The Mexican G. You tell me. Are Canelo's punches gonna destroy Crawford like they destroyed Dimitri Bivol? And by the way, Dimitri Bivol himself said that he sees Terence Crawford beating Canelo. Said it. He said it. Bivol is the best. Bivol is a great fighter. He got beat by Beterbiev. Don't forget that. But I'm telling you guys what, man. With Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, I can't help but to remember how it played out with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. Because it was the same narrative. The same exact narrative. Errol Spence is too big. Errol Spence is going to beat Terence Crawford. Errol Spence is going to do this and that. And we watched Terence Crawford beat him up. Tan calientico. Tan calientico. ¿Cómo? Dame un abrazo. ¿Qué te quemo? The Mexican G, Bivol is a lot bigger than Crawford. Floyd Mayweather's not a lot bigger than Crawford. What then? And Floyd Mayweather made him look bad. High IQ. Well, Terence Crawford has a high IQ too. Rocky Adams. A lot of people think Bud will win. Even Errol Spence. ¿Qué pasa, little man? Bud may stop him. Definitely. ¿Te dijeron hola? Dile hola. He said, what's up? Hola. The Mexican G, Canelo is levels above Spence. And Crawford is levels above Canelo. You're going to find out. He might make him look bad. I'm saying that it's going to be a real competitive fight. But don't be surprised if Crawford makes Canelo look bad. If he keeps him at the end of that jab, he's going to make him look bad. Remember, I told you this. And then what happens? What happens? Crawford makes Canelo look bad. Are people going to give Crawford his credit? Like those people who say Canelo's gonna win 100%. Are you gonna give him credit if Crawford makes it look easy and beats Canelo? Y'all tell me. Está sucia, no le ponga la mano. The ball's dirty. Wait, turn. Ay. Y'all tell me, my people. The Mexican G. We just gotta wait and see. Oh, you wanna wait and see? You don't wanna say if you're gonna give Crawford credit if he beats Canelo? You can't say that now ahead of time. You gotta wait and see. You know why you gotta wait and see? Because you gotta figure out an excuse. If Crawford beats Canelo, you gotta figure out an excuse to not give him credit. The Mexican G, Crawford can retire on top if he beats Canelo. I mean, if he wins that fight, I believe that he can just say, yo, I'm done. I'm going to retire as an undisputed champion in a third division. That would be crazy. He could be done right there. But I believe I read somewhere that there may be a rematch clause, in Canelo's favor. So if Canelo loses, he could exercise a rematch clause. But if Crawford loses, I don't think he'll have a rematch clause. Canelo is a new Canelo now. He isn't like his Mayweather fight. Well, what Canelo was he when he faced Bivol? What Canelo was he? What you got to see is that there's already a blueprint out there to beat Canelo. There's no blueprint for Crawford. Nobody's beating him. Rocky Adams. Jay, did you have Bud against Errol? My brother. I had Terence Crawford beating Errol Spence by stoppage in the 8th or the 9th round. And you can actually scroll back in this same channel and you'll see me talking about it, posting it. And in the comments, you see people laughing at me. I'm saying, yo, Crawford is going to stop him in the 8th round. Stoppage, going to beat him up. And people laughing in the comments saying, you don't believe that, you don't believe that. You don't know nothing about boxing. You don't know what you're talking about. And then after the fight happened, the excuses came. Oh, well, Errol, the car accident, and what had happened was, you know how it is. People don't want to give credit where credit is due. The Mexican G, yeah, jumping up 3 weight classes and beating a legend like Canelo would be insane. Well, he's not jumping up 3 weight classes, my brother, because we got to remember, right now, Terence Crawford is the reigning champion in the 154 division. He's a reigning champion at 154. So he's really jumping up 2 divisions, not 3. The Mexican G. But I don't think that will happen. That's exactly what will happen. Terence Crawford is going to outbox Canelo Alvarez. Won't put the beats on him. The Swiss beats. Now, I know Canelo's a great fighter. I expect him to also have his moments in the fight. But he's not going to win. He's not going to beat Crawford, my people. I'm telling you. Crawford is the guy, the special fighter, the special athlete. Anda a ver cómo es, mi libro, para yo terminar aquí. ¿Te quiere quedar conmigo? Stand right there. You're going to be on the show with me then. You want to say something? You want to say something to them? Huh? You want to say something? Show them how you box, Ryan. Show them your boxing skills. Show them how you throw punches. Ryan, know how to, 1, 2. Look at yourself right there. Closer. He don't want to do it, but 1, 2, left hook, right uppercut, jab. 1, 2, 1, 2, put that shoulder into, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, uppercut, No quiero. Rocky Adams, Maker, salute, young king. Te dijeron hola. They said salute to you, Ryan. Rocky Adams, Jay, nobody talks about how Bud was about to stop Errol in the 2nd round. He almost stopped him. Caught him with that nasty shot. That's what I'm saying. If he catches Canelo with a counter punch that Canelo doesn't see coming, it can happen. It can happen. Papa. Yes, Ryan? Ya terminaste, Papa. We're almost finished. So that's something to take into consideration, my peoples. If Terence Crawford catches Canelo Alvarez with a punch he doesn't see coming, a knockout can come. It can happen. So don't think that it's out of the question that we could see a stoppage in this fight. Yes, Canelo can take a punch. We've seen it. But if he gets hit with that punch he doesn't see coming, he could go to sleep. Don't get it twisted. I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you, my peoples. Oh, little man look dangerous. You know it. You know it. He the son of a fighter. Andrew, let's go Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, man. Mike Tyson, I feel bad that so many people within the boxing fan community don't give him his flowers like he deserved. They don't really understand how great Mike Tyson was. They only remember Mike for the end of his career when he started losing or when he wasn't, doing his thing, when he wasn't a champion. They don't realize the type of fighter Mike Tyson was. The Mexican G.O. Damn, he caught me. I got a concussion. Damn. Concussion? Maker. After Bud did that to Spence, I would never doubt Bud. That's what I'm saying, my brother. Like, at this point, seeing what Terence Crawford did to Errol Spence, you have to understand. Oh, look at those punches. Look at those punches. Show them right there. After seeing what Terence Crawford did to Errol Spence, I think people should already understand that he's a special fighter. You should understand, like, yo, this guy's special. He really is. We're going to see. We're going to see, my people. Bud Skills will beat Canelo's size on Vax King. So, and the funny thing, on Vax King about Canelo's size is that he's wider than Crawford, but Crawford is a little bit taller and has more reach. That means that Crawford has physical advantages over Canelo too. It's not just skills. He's physically taller and longer. Remember, Ryan, you have to go to school. Not now. Rocky Adams, keep learning to box, Ryan. For bullies. Oh yeah, Ryan. Trust me, my guy. I'm already showing Ryan how to throw them hands. Trust me on that. On Vax King, Bud smart as fuck in there. He's very calculating. Canelo's last look like he could fly away. The thing about Canelo is that, and where he's also going to be at a disadvantage, Canelo doesn't have that footwork. What happened? You want to show them boxing, how you box? Show them. Show them right there. I'm going to show me right here, like right there. Look at that, my people. Look. Right there. Aye. Show them, Ryan, right there. Come on, you know how to do it hard like that. Do it like that. Show them what you got. So I'm gonna show you then. Oh, you don't want to do it. Oh, look at the defense. Look at that. This is my first shadow boxing session on live. I never thought I would be boxing my son on live, my people, but sometimes you gotta do it. There we go, my peoples. That's how I'm going to end this show, with a boxing shadow session with my son. I hope you guys enjoy. Just having a good time out here in the morning, my peoples. I got to go do my run. Oh, this guy want to keep fighting over here. Yo, shout out to everybody who tuned in to this live. Y'all already know what it is. I'm Jay Smith. This is Ryan Enzo. And this is Box Center, your favorite boxers. Favorite boxing show. He got to go to school. I got to go to work. We out of here, my people. One love to everybody who tuned in. We appreciate y'all, man. You still want to box with me? Yo, we gotta get out of here. Yo, he want to keep fighting my peoples. We out of here. Bam. Yo, one love. Yo, I'm out. All right, let me finish.